It's the book club, and this week a road trip full of revenge and bloodsuckers. This is Coffin Moon by Keith Rosson. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave Musson, and this is the place where normally I talk to you about Stephen King, but in this spin-off series I recommend great books to you that I have read recently and that I think you will enjoy too. Yes, this is my book club where each episode I'll give you the synopsis of a book. I'll give you a bit about the author, who won't be Stephen King, but will be writing horror. I'll give you a spoiler-free review of the book. I will try and align it to a Stephen King book to help give you that point of reference. And that's about it, really. And if you go off and read these books and you enjoy them, make sure you rate and review them on Storygraph, on Amazon, on Goodreads, all of those places. And if you really like them, rave about them to your own friends on your social media channels, all of that kind of stuff. Get people enthused about reading great books. If you want to see what else I've covered in the book club, been doing it for almost a year now. There are well over 50 books. Just check out the full playlist. There's loads there for you to explore. Lots of new releases, lots of releases that were new to me, and hopefully quite a few that are going to be new to you and that you'll enjoy reading too. Okay, this week, a brand new book that is out today, if you're watching when this video drops, the 9th of September 2025. This is Keith Rosson's new novel. It's Coffin Moon. Let's cover it. Okay, here's your synopsis. There's a train. Train! Here's your synopsis of Coffin Moon. From the author of the exciting, suspenseful, horrifying, Stephen King, Fever House, a Vietnam veteran and his adopted niece hunt and are hunted by the vampire that slaughtered their family. It's the winter of 1975 and Portland, Oregon is all sleet and neon. Dwayne Miner is back home after a tour in Vietnam, a bartender just trying to stay sober, save his marriage with his wife Heidi, and connect with his 13-year-old niece Julia, now that he's responsible for raising her. Things aren't easy, but Miner is scraping by. Then a vampire walks into his bar and ruins his life. When Miner crosses John Varley, a killer who sleeps during the day beneath loose drifts of earth and grows teeth in the light of the moon, Varley brutally retaliates by murdering Heidi, leaving Miner broken with guilt and Julia filled with rage. What's left of their splintered family is united by only one desire: vengeance. So begins a furious frenzied pursuit across the Pacific Northwest and beyond. From grimy alleyways to desolate highways to snow-lashed plains, Miner and Julia are cast into the dark orbit of undead children, silver bullet casters, and the bevy of broken men transfixed by Varley's ferocity. Everyone's out for blood. Gritty, unforgettable, and emotionally devastating, Coffin Moon asks what will be left of our humanity when grief transmutes into violence, when monsters wear human faces, and when our thirst for revenge eclipses everything else. And here's a bit about the author for you. Keith Rosson is the author of the novels Coffin Moon, The Devil by Name, Fever House, Smoke City, Road 7, and The Mercy of the Tide, as well as the Shirley Jackson award-winning story collection Folk Songs for Trauma Surgeons. His short fiction has appeared in Southwest Review, Nightmare, Cream City Review, Pank, Redivider, December, and more. He lives in Portland, Oregon. So there's your background. Time for my spoiler-free review of Coffin Moon. This was my first time reading Keith Rosson, and boy, did I have a good time. For a book featuring so many lives that are being snuffed out, ripped apart, drained, this novel actually feels like it could breathe a lot of new life into the vampire genre. The bloodsuckers here are terrifying, uncompromising, violent, and very thirsty. While the way that Rosson explores vampire lore is really creatively and interestingly done and adds loads to the story. I especially love how the silver bullets are treated and used throughout this tale. Very, very good stuff. Now, given how gory and blood-soaked this story is, and trust me, the pages of this are practically dripping with the stuff, it's kind of a surprise that the horror doesn't really kick in for a good 50 pages or so. And yet it's also not a problem. That gives us the groundwork for the characters here, particularly our lead character, Dwayne Miner, who, as the synopsis says, is back from Vietnam and trying to make his life work, running his parents-in-law's bar, looking after his niece, dealing with his wife, all of those kind of things. The background is really well done, and we get a lot of story in a relatively short amount of pages, and we get enough story to make you care, so that when the horror kicks in, you really want Dwayne to succeed and you really feel for him. That point when our villain, John Varley, kind of bloodily comes into Dwayne's life and just flips it on its head, from that point onwards, the stakes, yes, vampire pun mildly intended, the stakes really are ramped up at that point. Now, I like Dwayne as a main character, and I really like Varley as a villain. He's terrifying right from the start. Right from the very first moment we meet him, he is scary, he is uncompromising, which I've already used, but I'm going to use it again. Very violent and just a force to be reckoned with. He feels unstoppable for pretty much all of this book, and he is a joy to ride with whenever he's on the page. So this story goes from crime to vampire to revenge road trip without missing a beat, and moves at a speed that is impressive without compromising on story. Rosson has this cool, laid-back, almost conversational style of storytelling that makes you feel like you're just sat around a campfire listening to someone spin a yarn, only for him to then flip and give you these squelchy, detail-packed descriptions of vampires being vampires, and you remember that, oh no, yeah, this is very definitely a horror novel, and I am right in the thick of it. As you see these bodies being torn apart, or bitten, or shot, it's all such visceral writing that you just can't help but flinch, and it's great. So when it comes to finding a Stephen King book to compare Coffin Moon to, pretty simple really. It's Salem's Lot crossed with Firestarter. Boom. Sounds fun, right? So in summary, Coffin Moon was an absolute romp. Keith Rosson nailed the ending, and I am now very keen to read more of his work. So I want to say a huge thank you to the publisher and to NetGalley for the review copy of this. As I said at the top, this one is out today if you're watching this video when this drops. Out 9th of September 2025. It's an absolute romp, as I've already said. If vampires are your thing, you want to read this one. So there we go, there's Coffin Moon on the book club. What do you think of the sound of that one? Are you going to be picking this one up? And have you read some of Keith Rosson's other works? Which ones do you think I should jump to next? Let me know in the comments. Now, if you've come this far, I'm going to throw a few plugs at you. Everything I like to plug is linked in the description below, but those things are my award-winning collection of short stories, Once More Around the Sun, my Stephen King trivia book, my range of Stephen King themed band shirts, and the fact that you can become a constant viewer, you can become a member of this channel, support me directly, get extra content, all of that kind of stuff. Links are all in the description. And if none of those work for you, that's fine, don't worry. Just watching makes a real difference. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And hey, maybe share the channel with a friend who might also like to watch. And I will see you back here again very soon, either for Stephen King content, to hear me talk about horror movies in my Silver Scream feature, or back here next week for another book recommendation on the book club. Happy reading.